Hey, it's Doc David with another episode of Head Shrink Inc. And today the holidays are upon us, and we are going to talk about what to do in the holidays with all the crazy family stuff that happens. Listen in.
You are listening to Head Shrink Inc., your answers to life, relationships, and daily living.
Hey, it's Doc David again with Head Shrink Inc. Thanks for listening in. The holidays are upon us, and Thanksgiving just happened, and all the crazy stuff that happens with that. Food, lots of family coming over. At least in my house, lots of family come over. Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Thankful Tuesday? Anyways, Tuesday, then everyone's wanting you to give money to donate places. And so inevitably I get questions related to the holidays and what should we do? And these questions range the gamut. So it's usually about relationships and gift giving. And so I wanted to address three specific things: presents, where to do holidays, and who to invite for the holidays. So here's the question that I got from Jennifer today. So on my sister's side of the family, I have a niece and nephew who are both married, and the niece has 2 kids. I have bought gifts for all of them, and they exchange with me. On my brother's side of the family, I have 2 nieces and 1 nephew who are married with children. In the past, I gave the adults gifts too, but they don't give me a gift. I do buy all the children and both families gifts. We're in a tight budget right now. The problem is we are having a big family get together instead of getting together Christmas Day. Is it okay to give my sister's family their gifts when my brother's side is there too? Or do I need to buy everyone a gift or a couple gifts or what? Thanks! Exclamation point times 4. So what I said to Jennifer was, I would suggest you simply give gifts to the kids and then a card with maybe a gift card in it to the adults. I would imagine that if you let your siblings know that things are kind of tight, that they would understand, because everyone often goes through times like that. You could also find a private time to give gifts when the other adults don't know that it's happening. But as I got this and as I was answering it and thinking about it, I think it gives us a bigger idea to me, because a lot of times I'll get a question. It relates to birthday gifts as well. And the kind of general idea is I give gifts to so-and-so or this family member, and they never give me gifts back. Therefore, is it okay if I stop giving gifts to them? And so for me, I think, okay, that's kind of a surface question, because what I often think of is, why are you giving gifts to somebody in order to give gifts in return? So I have an aunt and uncle. So I have lots of kids, as you may have heard in a past podcast, but I have lots of kids. And so if I were to get gifts from every member of my family, I would make people poor because I have so many kids, and my house would be cluttered with stuff. And so I have an aunt and uncle, for example, that they have no kids, but they give gift cards to all of their nieces and nephews. And the nieces and nephews probably amount to, actually, let me step that back. It used to be nieces and nephew when we were not married, but we got married. And so now my family gets gift cards from my aunt and uncle. And I only assume that they send out these gift cards to all the other great nieces and nephews, I guess, is the easiest way to explain it. That's a lot of gift cards, and we don't give anything in return to them. Now, do I feel guilty? There's a part of me, but I've never started that. I'm not a gift giver type person, and I don't. My wife kind of takes care of that area, but we do mostly gifts for like immediate family, and it's usually related to our nieces and nephews, and even then, it's just the nieces and nephews that are close to us. And so one of the things I would suggest to people that are kind of struggling with this idea of, wow, I'm not getting gifts, but I keep giving gifts, is, why are you giving these gifts? Because if I give a gift to somebody, I generally don't expect them to give me a gift back, because I'm doing it out of the goodness of my heart. Like, I want to show this person that I care about them, so I'm giving a gift. I don't give a gift hoping that they, are going to reciprocate and give me a gift back. So I would say, as a general kind of rule of thumb, if you are giving gifts to someone this year, really check your attitude and see if you're doing it just to be kind, or if you're doing it because you're hoping to get something back. Because if you're doing it just to be kind, you have no expectations. And so if you don't get a gift, you're not going to get upset about it. But if you're doing it because you're wanting to get something back and you don't, then I would suggest that that's a wrong reason to be giving gifts. It definitely, like, this quote unquote spirit of Christmas, excuse me, is not about, who can get the most gifts. And I think what's happened in our society often is just culture, commercial consumerism, and look at all these toys you can get for your kids. I think that's kind of overwhelmed this kind of spirit of Christmas thing. So another question that I often get is where to do holidays. Now, this is more difficult for newly married couples to do because they have competing sides, right? So you have the wife's side of the family that wants to do the holidays with you, and then you have the husband's side of the family that wants you to do holidays with you. And so where do you land? And it's hard because if you live close to a family, if you live close to your wife's family, chances are you're going to do most of your holidays there. But then that potentially makes the husband's side of the family feel left out and upset, and creates some resentment and distance. And it's just by virtue of my mileage. Like, you can't every holiday travel 2,000 miles for 3 days to visit a family. And that gets more difficult the more kids you have. But what do you do if you have families that live all in the proximity of one another? So there's a couple things you can do. You can decide that, hey, we're going to try to do a big family get together with both sides of the family. That's difficult to do, especially if the families don't really care for one another. So that's not ideal. I think the ideal is to try to split it up as fair as possible. So, for example, we had Thanksgiving at our house this year, and so then Christmas will be at my in-laws potentially. This is if I was newly married, right? So you'd go back and forth to be as fair as you can. But so I've been married for about 20 years, and we have at some point, and I can't remember when, but at some point we started a tradition of Christmas Eve, we have my wife's family over, and we open presents just with Grandpa, Nana, and Papa is what they are. And then Christmas Day, my family does it just amongst ourselves. And if my parents are in town, that's when my parents will come up for the day, or we'll go down there. And so we've been doing that for several years. Now, there's going to be times where things happen that are out of your control. And so, for example, this year, my sister's coming to my home. So she'll be there for the New Year's Eve kind of tradition. And I anticipate that we're still going to be doing our, thing with my in-laws, but my sister will be there. So that'll make it maybe a little bit different. I don't think it'll make it awkward. It'll just be different because these people tend to be in. And so, or my sister's going to be around. So I think that there's establishing traditions is important, but then being flexible within those traditions is also important, because you don't want to get so rigid with your traditions that you push relationships away. And I actually know people that they're so rigid in their tradition of going to get pictures or going to this person's house on this particular day, and nothing else can get in the way of that, that it potentially limits the kind of relationships that they can have around the holiday times. And I think that's not a good idea, because holidays, in my mind, are about relationships and loving people and showing care and concern. I mean, I want to do that all throughout the year, but I think something with the holidays, there's a special connection to that and family and relationships. A third issue that often comes up is who to invite. This gets to be a challenge because typically for holidays, you're having family interactions and interacting with people that you would never interact with throughout the rest of the year. And so drunk, alcoholic uncle who you never see and who always annoys you and who you avoid purposefully now is going to be sitting at the same dinner table with you. And so what are you going to do? Or felon brother who just got out of the slammer, who you had put out of mind and out of sight, is now coming for a Christmas dinner. And so you may have to sit by them. And what are you going to do? Or Trump or Hillary supporter who just really annoyed you by all their Facebook posts is going to be sitting across the table from you. So now what do you do? And so the question of now what do you do is, I think you recognize this holiday is bigger than you and all your little issues that go on. And I think you and I are strong enough and have enough kind of emotional control that we can interact with a person for 2 hours if we have to. And there was a time in my life where I would, to prove that my parents didn't control me, they would suggest something and I would simply say, no, I don't want to do that. And it wasn't anything unreasonable, but it was just, I was immature and I wanted to show, hey, I'm in control of my own life. It's gotten to the point now where I realize that loving somebody and doing something for somebody that you don't want to do for a short period of time is loving them. So it means I have to sit next to my drunk alcoholic uncle. If it makes my mom happy, if it shows my mom love, for example, then I'm willing to do that for 2 or 3 hours. If sitting next to a felon brother-in-law is a way to show love and care and concern to my dad or my mother-in-law or whoever, then I'm willing to do that for a couple hours, bite my tongue if I have to, and just kind of recognize I'm doing this because I love another person, not because I'm trying to be okay with this person I don't like. If you're able, I think we should all be able to do that because we all love other people. Now, if we put ourselves in front of other people, we're not going to be able to do that. So my suggestion for you this holiday season, one of my suggestions, is to really carefully consider who you are caring about. If you care more about yourself, you're not going to be able to do any of these things. You're not going to be able to easily not accept presents from people. You're not going to easily be able to do holidays at the place that you don't want to do. You're not easily going to be able to sit by the felon brother-in-law. And if that's happening to you, my suggestion is you kind of sit back and do some self-awareness, get some insight into yourself on what needs to maybe change in your life, where you need to be more loving to a mom or a dad or a brother or mother or father-in-law, because they have a lot of times the same concerns that you do about different things, but they're willing to overlook those because of the holidays. And so I'm going to encourage you to consider overlooking some things this holiday season to show love to somebody else. And that could be your mother. It could be your father. It could be a mother-in-law or father-in-law. I mean, fill in the blank. It could be lots of different people. You're not the most important person in the world. And yes, this person that's really annoying you maybe did do something that's like outrageous. But I think in the holiday season, you can take 2 hours, show love to a mother or father, and spend some time with them. Hey, thanks for listening. Hopefully you do have a good holiday season. My name is Doc David. You can email me at headshrinkinc@gmail.com. Have a great day.